What is up guys, welcome back to another episode of Chill Sessions. This is going to be kind of like a test hand video for Sacred Beast. I've been working on this deck already to try and bring it up to a more competitive standpoint, but in this particular case, as you can see, I have a really big extra deck. I also have a really big deck over here as well. This is well above even 60 cards, dare I say. It's definitely quite a lot. I was thinking maybe 40s are out here. There's like an extra 20 cards there, so definitely a lot of cards to work with, but I'm essentially going to be shuffling all of these cards up and just seeing how they actually interact with each other. And this is not necessarily a test hand because obviously I'm playing way too many cards in the deck, but I am actually experimenting and seeing how the interactions would actually work. That way it could further justify all of my actions as to what I've chosen to, well, what I've thought about would actually work in the deck. So if that actually turns out to be successful, then in that particular case I could further develop this deck into something that would actually fit this particular format. However, with that being said, there's really not much else to say. We're just going to try out one test hand and see how things go. If it's a really quick video, then we might be able to fit in a second test hand, but who knows. Let's just begin right away. So just going to shuffle up this deck and we're going to see what we can do with it. Alright, so here's our opening hand of 5 cards. Definitely very nice here seeing all of this because we have quite a bit of a variety here. So I'm thinking we do have a 1-for-1, so if we wanted to go for that we could. So right off the bat, I guess I'll just go for the 1-for-1 and we're going to search and see what we could bring out. Obviously it's the Chaos Summoning Beast, but with that being said, that's definitely going to be very nice because you could essentially tribute this card, special summon any of your Sacred Beast monsters from your hand, ignoring summoning conditions, which is definitely very nice, of course. And then obviously you also have the graveyard effect, which allows you to also add Fallen Paradise. Unfortunately we already have it, so I guess we'll just keep it in the graveyard for the time being. So we're just going to tribute this right off the bat, and we're going to bring out one of these. The unfortunate thing I find is that we don't actually have Hamon, so maybe I'll just keep this on the field for the time being, and we might activate the Fallen Paradise, so let's just go for that. Let's see, what else can we actually do here? I mean, at this particular point we could easily just activate this if we wanted to, because even without Hamon on the field, if any of your other Sacred Beasts leave the field, then you just take no damage, so it's a protective effect anyway. But we could tribute off the Chaos Summoning Beast, and this will allow us to summon out any of our monsters. Obviously here Yugioh is the best choice because it actually has the attack points, so that would be fantastic, but we're going to use our Fallen Paradise because we have a Sacred Beast on the field now, so we can draw 2 additional cards. I believe we would have to actually shuffle, so just give me a moment. And then we're going to draw 2 cards here, so 1 and we have 2. Wow, actually that's crazy, we actually managed to get the Hamon as well. So we do have the full sets. Of course I can't actually bring out Hamon right now, which is unfortunate. However, if we wanted to actually do a bit of deck thinning, then feel free to actually just banish this off and search up your other Fallen Paradise. I probably should have actually done that first, then do the shuffle and draw a card. That might have been a smarter choice, but it's okay. I mean, at this point we'll just add our other Fallen Paradise right over here, and this is pretty much what we have. So you could actually activate the instant fusion if you wanted to, and if you did, then you could actually just bring out one of your monsters, you know, take one of your opponent's monsters, and that'd be fine. Of course we are going first, so in this case this is the best board we got. I am actually quite impressed with this because of the fact that, I mean, we already got a 4k beat stick on the field, and we also have something that protects us from damage as well. Fallen Paradise will protect Yugioh himself, and you also have fallback plays for your following turns, so I don't think it's a big deal. I think this is definitely quite amazing for what we have here, so definitely not bad at all. But we do have a bit of time, so I'm just going to shuffle all this up and we're going to try going 2nd this time and seeing how things go. Alright, so here's our opening hand of 5 cards. Definitely very nice here seeing all of this. So I'm thinking we do have a 1-for-1, so if we wanted to go for that we could. So right off the bat, I guess I'll just go for the 1-for-1 and we're going to try going 2nd this time and seeing how things go. Alright, so here's what we have to work with. I actually don't think this is too bad whatsoever. It's pretty nice actually to start off with here. Obviously, since we're going second, our goal is meant to be to OTK instead now, so it is definitely very different. I do have a Dark Beckoning Beast, which would be nice, so we're going to summon that off, allowing us to add any of our Sacred Beasts from our deck to our hand. So let's see what we actually want to go for. We could also just add anything else as well. For example, you could also just add a card that lists the Sacred Beasts from the text from the deck to your hand. So it doesn't mean you have to search for the Sacred Beast. You could also just search out your other cards as well, which would be something like Opening of the Spirit Gates, which would be fantastic, by the way. We're going to activate the Fallen Paradise as well. I actually think that's very fantastic, but we could also just activate the Opening of the Spirit Gates, allowing us to add any of our Sacred Beasts from our deck to your hand, and that would be also really good to set us off for the Dark Summoning Beast as well. So in this case, I'm going to add... Well, in this case, it's funny because with Hyperblaze out, you could actually just benefit by adding Uriah, but I think I'll still go for Hamon because I believe Hamon would benefit most in this circumstance. But actually, you know what? Uriah might not be a bad idea. I'm just going to do it right away, just because I have something really interesting to show you guys. So with Dark Beckoning Beast out on the field, we could then take these two here and, well, tribute this off, summon out the Dark Summoning Beast, and then we could summon out another one from the deck. So in this case, you want to think, well, who else do you actually want to go for? Well, in this case, I think I'll go for Raviel. From the deck, of course, we'll take the Dark Summoning Beast as well. I'm going to banish that off, allowing us to also go for our other Fallen Paradise, wherever it is. So we're just going to look for other Fallen Paradise here. There we go. And from that would be fantastic, because at this particular point you could either draw a card of Fallen Paradise, but you could also go for an XC summon as well. So I'm thinking let's go for an XC summon because we have one less card in the deck. Sorry, a draw here. So we're going to shuffle our deck and we're going to see what we get. Alright, so we're going to draw two cards here off the Fallen Paradise's effect and see what we get. We have here Dimension Fusion and we have an Instant Fusion. Not the best, but I think we could still work off with this particular kind of board over here. So let's see, what do we have as an option? Well, we do have Instant Fusion, which is interesting to me, but I think what I'll do here is I'll just go for the Exodius. This will allow us to send this to the deck again, which is fine of course, but essentially what we're allowed to do here is we can XE summon these two cards, go for something that might be quite interesting here. So in this case, you could go for any of these spiders, by the way, which is fantastic. It has 4000 attack as well. You could also do any of these two effects separately. The Libe would actually be a very powerful one. Just use any of these lower ones here. For example, use Gustav Max, and you could just detach one of your materials and then burn one of your opponents for 2k, which is just fantastic. And then you go into your Libe here. Just quite an exquisite move indeed. So that's very nice, making it very easy, because if you attack with this, that's 6000 damage total that you have just done, which I think is great. However, if you actually look at it in a sense, technically if you just wanted to discard or detach one of your materials, you could just do that. This card gains 2000 attack, and it could also attack just pretty much every single monster of your opponent's, well, based on the XC's material of course. So it's fine, but either way you're at 6000 plus the 2000, that's 8k damage right onto your opponent, which is definitely very devastating of course. But yeah, it's definitely very fun, because you could also use Instant Fusion to go for your Millennium Eyes, and if your opponent had a monster effect to try and negate you, then you could always just negate it yourself, which is fantastic. You also have over here the Libe. dealing a huge amount of damage. It's just very fantastic, and you could always just set yourself up for the following turn as well, so you're not really in a poor situation whatsoever. I think this is definitely fantastic. However, with that being said, with the very little time I have left, I want to actually show you guys just briefly what I'm actually utilizing in this particular deck. Now, the way I'm actually doing these kinds of or deciding what I want to play is I essentially have this big deck like so, right? And I do multiple test hands, even off camera, of course. I do it on camera here just to show you guys or give you guys an idea of how I actually do this, how I actually work with these cards and understand what I need and what I don't need. And then essentially what I do now with this big deck here is I just look through it and I see what cards didn't really work out for me and I take it out. So in this case, we didn't really need these Swords of Concealing Light, we didn't really need the Field Barrier, we didn't need the Chaos Cause whatsoever, Mound of the Bound Creator we don't need, even Gamma Seal I don't care about, and I just keep going through here, so I'm just showing you an example of what I might be getting rid of because I don't see any further use for it in this particular deck. And Hyperblaze, you don't really need 2 copies, you don't need a second copy of this as well. Just keep looking, seeing what you have. Even Succession doesn't really have to be used, but I'm essentially just going through my deck here and seeing what I need or don't need. So I took out a bunch of these cards here. So what I'll do now is I'll essentially test out this smaller deck and do a few test hands going first and second and seeing how those interactions work. If those turn out well, then I'll just have to decide, but if there are some cards that don't actually work well, then I get rid of it again, and I just keep doing this process over and over and over again, adjusting the ratio. Sometimes I might take cards and add it back in and seeing how that particularly works. It's a really quick process because you're taking out cards, putting cards in, but you're testing them immediately, so it gives you a good opportunity to see anything that is necessary or not. And this is essentially the process by which I do this. So off camera, I am definitely going to be doing a lot more test hands with this, and by the next video I should be able to show you guys the full deck profile with it. We also went through the extra deck as well, showing that the trains could actually come in quite useful and quite handy here, but I'm going to try and utilize whatever I can out of this by doing further testing. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. I think this video has definitely gone long enough. If you enjoyed this video, definitely drop a like, share, subscribe, comment down below, hit that bell notification. I hope you guys have a fantastic day. I'll see you all next time.